Welcome to another fine episode of Solid State Cinema. Today, on the bench, I've got an Allied 335 stereo receiver with some issues with its rear speaker jacks. It appears as though somebody's modified them, pretty much butchered them, so it was brought to me to repair it. I'm going to do that with a little Pinot and some crackers. Let's check it out.
Well, here's the issue with the receiver. The speaker jacks on the rear panel, we have main and remote, are missing the plugs that normally go in here. They're a Pioneer style plug, and if you can find them, they're about 30 bucks a set. So obviously we're not going that route, but to complicate matters, if you look at the remote, it still has the spring terminals. But if you look over here at the main, you can see the light behind it. You see my fingers. When it came in, there was wire pigtails hanging out of here, and somebody was connecting to the main speakers that way because they removed all the inner workings from that rear plug. The remote still has its terminals intact, but the main, they've been pulled, and somebody had spliced in to the speaker wires. And this is the remnants of the pigtails that I removed. So at this point, obviously, I cannot use these old plugs anymore unless I can find some, but that is next to impossible. So I've came up with a good option. I reached the conclusion that it's not worth trying to find a replacement jack and the replacement plugs. It'd be too expensive and not worth it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove both of these. We're going to install a plate, and on that plate I will use standard banana binding posts like you see on most receivers. So we'll have the left right for each side, so a total of 8 of these jacks mounted on that aluminum, and we'll use the original screws that held in these individual jacks. So I'll start by removing these old jacks, and then I'm going to steel the dimensions for the screw patterns and the centers for the new binding posts that will go in the place of these. So I've got my piece of aluminum clamped into place, and I'm just going to take a dental pick and etch where these holes are and etch where these cutouts are, so I'll know exactly where I need to put those new banana jacks. Well, there's my template. So now I'm going to take my calipers and etch the lines where I'm going to put the 4 binding posts. Well, there's the assembly ready for the test fit. Now I hand drilled this thing, but I laid it out with the calipers and I center punched it, so it's got to be pretty close. Let's see how we're doing here. Wire them away, and there we go. Looks like everything lines up perfectly. Now I elected to install it from the rear rather than the front, and the reason is, look at these jacks and how close they are to this opening. I wanted to utilize as much space as I could to get spacing on these jacks, okay? So if you look at the rear, you got the nuts, okay? So there's plenty of room for the nuts now to just sit inside and not be cramped by this square opening here. So another point I need to bring up, the old jacks surface mount on the front, remember? So these holes here were threaded for these little screws, alright? Now my new jack mounts from behind, so I obviously cannot use these threaded holes the way they are, so I'm going to drill these out. I'm going to use 440 screws with locking nuts on the back. And in case you're wondering, the spacing between jacks, left and right, is approximately 0.6 inches, and from top to bottom it's 0.7 inches, and that lined up really well with these openings with those type Pioneer jacks. So if you're going to do this, unfortunately you can't use the standard 0.75 spacing that you'd normally see on these banana jacks. Well, there they are installed, All the screws lined up just fine. They actually look like they're intended to be there in the first place. I'm pretty impressed. Here's the inside, ready to wire up. This here is the ground runner. So he's going to go up and strap across all the negatives and tie them right here to chassis. And then I have the left and right outputs here that need to hook up. I think the green ones will make it, but I do not believe the orange ones will. So I'm going to have to extend those. Jacks are wired up. It was a piece of cake. I was able to actually pull these orange wires slightly by loosening this little restraint device on the harness. There's some slack, so I got lucky. So there she is. We're ready to test. Here we go. Got the speakers hooked up. It is a little tight getting them in there, but it's very doable. Got the old Allied powered up. Harman Kardon over here. Hit play. Here we go. By the way, I'm running it into a D-Lab Audio stereo test set. I'd call that a success. Let's get her back together.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Yeah, hi, it's Bill
Dick from the internet.
Lumberton.
I haven't seen this joker around for a while. I wonder what he's got in store for me, huh?
Usual time. this morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to be
Yeah, hi, it's
transparent,
Bill Lumberton.
in a nutshell, I'm gonna dummy this down. Those jacks are low-hanging fruit. It's all about perception. Maybe we should take it to the next level.
The heck's that? Candygram. Yeah, I don't know, Dick. I wouldn't be answering that door at this hour. You never know who could be knocking. Flowers. Landshark. Landshark.
So it appears as though old DFI has failed at the game of live or let die. However, the Allied, with the new jacks, will outlive the butchering of those hacks.
Yeah, alright,
Yeah,
D-Lab.
hi,
I hope
it's
you had a
Bill
little bit of
Lumberton
fun
again.
with your puns,
I just
but your
wanted to make sure
dealings
you
with Dick
knew
from
that
the
we didn't
internet
start at,
had just begun.